Thanks to EA for the game code. Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. It's time for another Sims 4 family mansion. This one is gigantic. There is so much going on. There is a beautiful pool in the backyard. The front yard is very stunning and eye-catching. I was super inspired by a reference and I just wanted to replicate this style and vibe, and I had the best time building this. There are debug cars just for decorative purposes, so it really looks like the reference, and I just also added my own ideas to this to turn it into my own build. And yeah, let's jump right in. Here you can see the reference that I stumbled upon on Pinterest. It's a render of a house and I just wanted to replicate it, but I still wanted to add like stuff that I would like to add, but I followed the general shape of the house and especially the front yard shape because I feel like the front yard is so eye-catching, and I just tried my best to replicate it and to make this possible in The Sims 4 because it's always fun trying to put something like into this game, trying to make it work. Not everything translates very well into The Sims 4, so it's always a nice challenge trying to make it work. So here I'm working on the square in the front of the house. This is the most eye-catching feature of the build in general, in my opinion. And when you look at the reference, there's like some type of pattern going on. I wanted to replicate this, and you can see that I was really struggling arranging everything. I've simply used a small fence from high school years to create the outline. I've used round floor pieces to have the curved edges. I simply removed the fence using the sledgehammer tool, and I then applied the high school years fence. I filled in the corners using a floor color which looks like lawn, so it like blends in nicely. I'm going to fill in the whole area later so it looks cohesive and nice. And I then used a tiny fence from Get to Work, I think, to fill in the area in the center, and this fence was used to create this pattern. You can see that I'm like really moving stuff around to make it work. I intentionally kept it in the video so you can see the process and how I made it work. When you select a floor piece and you press Control F on your keyboard, you can have quarter tiles, and you can see that this is exactly what I'm doing here. And this way I'm filling in all the spaces to create the pattern. So I simply laid out the pattern using the fence first, and at this point I only had to fill in the floor. This was quite tedious but also fun, and here I'm using, I think, a base game floor color to have a second color, and you can see that there is kind of a horizontal line when you look at the floor, and later on this is going to look like a cross or a plus sign. And when you select a floor, you can press the period key on your keyboard to change the floor's direction. Let's say you're using a wooden floor, for example. You can just change the direction of the wood, so you can like decide which direction you want. And you can do the same for this floor, and this is how I'm going to create the cross pattern. So I simply noticed that when I'm selecting the quarter tiles, pressing Control F on my keyboard and then the period key to change direction, I was able to have a cross. You can here already see it, and it's looking so much nicer instead of just having the horizontal lines. I felt like it just added more to the pattern and it looked a little more like the reference. And I then tried to lay out the rest of the floor, and at this point I was really just working a lot on the patterned floor. This was before I even started to work on the house, so I really wanted to see if I could manage to like make this work in The Sims, and I then just started to work on the rest of the build. And here I'm using this floor to fill in the whole area. So I had used this floor for the curved corners, and I'm now filling in everything so it looks cohesive. As I said earlier, this floor is from Eco Lifestyle. You could also totally use the one from the base game, which is just a little bit lighter. I like that this one is darker. It has this beautiful lush green color, so I really like to use this one. And I then created a curve on the left side, as you just saw, and I'm going to change this because I didn't like the curve of this driveway. I wanted it to be more similar to the reference, so I'm going to do this by simply using lots of cubes from the Desert Lux kit. Once again, not the Get Famous cube, but you could totally use the Get Famous cube. But first, I used the hedges from the base game to have them going all around the fences. So I simply placed them everywhere. I'm rotating them freely to create the curved corners by using just the keyboard. You just have to hold down Alt on your keyboard and your left mouse button, and you can rotate objects freely. So that's what I'm doing here. And I've used this rug from Journey to Batu to have a nice guideline, and this rug is so perfect whenever you want to create a shape like this. We have lots of round rugs in the game, which I love to use as a guideline, especially the small round base game one, but this one is perfect when you want to create a custom shape like this. So I'm going to remove this rug. It's not part of the build, this is just my guideline, and I'm placing all these cubes from the Desert Lux kit to have a custom shape for the driveway. It's looking so much more like the reference, and in general so much more balanced, because I feel like, I don't know, it just wasn't as eye-catching like the regular foundation or floor piece with the fence applied, but you can also totally do it this way. I was just a bit nitpicky and wanted this to be perfect, and I just wasn't happy with the fence and the foundation piece. And yeah, I'm rotating these freely. Always make sure to use the Sims 3 camera for this. And I then also used more base game hedges to have them going around the driveway, and this way I can simply fill in more of the floor using my lawn colored floor from Eco Lifestyle, because you can simply hide the edges of the floor below your hedge and the cube, so I can fill in the driveway with any floor color I want, and I'm just using the other floor around it. If you would remove the cubes and the hedges, it wouldn't look perfect, because of course you cannot place a floor like this, but this way you're just hiding the floor and the edges. This is basically the same method of creating a custom round pool. You're essentially just hiding the really ugly edges of your pool below any object, and yeah, this is basically the same method. I've used these beautiful base game lights to just decorate the driveway, and I also wanted to have lawn in between, and then the regular floor color which I had chosen for the driveway, so I once again have some type of pattern going on, so it looks nice and beautiful. And here I'm just filling in more hedges everywhere, and at this point the front yard is really coming together. It really starts to make sense, and it starts to look more like a proper driveway or front yard. And I have to say, whenever I'm building something like this, I always just start somewhere on the lot, and I'm then using the function where you can move the whole lot, so you can reposition everything. It's like when you draw on a piece of paper, and you have to be really sure where you start, because later on a piece of paper you won't be able to move it around. And I always found this so difficult, and so happy that in The Sims I can just start building somewhere, and then I'm just repositioning everything. But here, for whatever reason, everything just matched almost perfectly. I just started to build somewhere, and it all made sense. I think I didn't even move anything around, only slightly, and this never happens to me. I always have to make so many changes to this, so I'm so happy how this turned out. And I then, of course, added a open walkout basement situation, because I feel like at this point I always do this. I love the look. And you can see that there's some type of visual glitch at the top. And this happens when you open up a basement and you add a curved room. And I simply like to hide this by using more cubes, and I wish that this would be fixed, because it's not nice having to hide it like this, and I wish this could be patched maybe in some update at some point, but this is what I'm doing at this point. I'm just hiding it. You could of course also just ignore it. It's not too bad, but I just did it this way. And I then added more to the house, and at first I really wasn't sure which windows to use, which type of size for the curved room in the front to use. So I made so many changes, and I had such a hard time arranging the windows. This build turned out to be really difficult. Like the front yard, which is my favorite part about the build, was really easy, and then I started to struggle making the build work, but I like how it turned out. I hope you like it. It was so much fun building this, and I just have so much fun landscaping recently. And you know that I like always love to put a gigantic focus on the garden. I've created so many builds in Deso Valley, but recently I'm just so obsessed with creating these intricate front yards and driveways. It's like so much fun. And here I'm starting to add some windows. I've once again decided to use the Greenhouse Haven Kit windows. They're perfect for this type of look. And I've also used windows from the Lost Track expansion pack. And this is like the perfect combination for this look in my opinion. I'm here once again expanding the driveway. I'm using a round floor piece. I'm applying the same high school years fence to this. And I'm also filling in the area using the floor and the hedges, as you can here see, rotating all of them very quickly. And this is going to be like the main driveway area actually, because I'm going to place some debug cars on the right side. We of course don't have any cars in the game. We don't have functional garages, driveways, whatever. It's just for decorative purposes. But because I think it looks super cool, I just love the look and the vibe, and because I wanted to follow the reference, I've simply decided to do all of this. So it just looks cool, and that's it. It's just for decoration. So the cars are from the base game. Actually, I haven't placed them yet, but you will see them later. They are from the base game, and you can just find them in debug. They're just used to decorate the worlds. So when you see like a car somewhere in a street, it's just for decorative purposes, and you can use them. You can just grab them from debug, and that's it. Here I'm using an object from Get Together to create this path. This is actually supposed to be placed inside a pool, like on the pool's ground, but I like to use it to create a path like this, and it looks very similar to the reference, and this item is just perfect for this. The tree on the left side and all the other trees are from debug or live edit. I simply ran through live edit and debug and took a look at all the different trees. What I like is you can find trees and bushes which look very realistic, almost like Alpha CC, and if you are into this type of look, you will find some amazing like bushes, trees, shrubbery, flowers, whatever in there, and I like to do that. So I just stumbled upon these trees and I've used them, and they're part of different packs. And yeah, here I'm working on another pattern. You can see that I'm using the cross pattern right array by rotating the floor, and I just replicated the same style. I've used the same lamps from the base game to like create this pattern, and this is where I'm going to place the debug cars. I then created this path by just using the same floor color. I'm going to make changes to this because I wanted to have a pool on the right side, and this was kind of in the way, so I'm going to make changes to this. I've placed some stairs so the Sims are able to access the basement, and I also stumbled upon these trees in debug, and I also found this fountain which will be placed in the front. The fountain is from Cats and Dogs. I can just totally recommend to like take a look at debug and live edit, and I've talked about this a couple of videos ago, but I'm not sure if you would be interested in this. I would love to make like a video where I'm showing my favorite debug and live edit items, and I could place them in a room, and I could upload the room to the gallery. I could like filter them by packs so you can like grab some base game items and stuff. So I don't know if you would be interested in this, but there are some amazing items in debug and live edit, and I would love to show you my favorites. So let me know if you would like to see this. Then I'm going to make a video about this, and I will upload everything to the gallery. And yeah, this is the pool. Of course, once again, round pools. Ever since the update dropped, I haven't like created a simple square pool, probably maybe on the inside in a build, but like I'm just so obsessed with the curved pools. They work flawlessly. I didn't encounter any issues. The curved rooms sometimes create some issues, but I didn't encounter any problems using the curved pools. And yeah, I wanted to have this almost like a pool house, but it's actually like just a roof and some tiny rooms, like some type of, I don't know, sun protection or something. I then placed some tables and chairs around it so it's functional and your Sims can have a wonderful day by the pool. I've also placed like some small floor pieces on the ground and then built some hedges around them and placed a tree in the center. I've used the same high school year's fence, which I had used for the whole front yard area. And when you build it like this, like on a floor piece, you can select the floor piece almost like a room and you can duplicate it. So you can create like a small piece of landscaping, like just an item like this, and you can duplicate it, because if you're using it all over your build you can just do it like this and you don't have to place the same trees and hedges again and again, and yeah, just duplicate it these in some areas. So this is a nice little trick to make landscaping a bit easier and quicker. And it then started to work on the back of the house. I've used the same greenhouse haven windows, and I wanted to have a nice patio area so the Sims could like sit down, go into a hot tub, have like, I don't know, a barbecue, stuff like this. But I also wanted to make sure to include like a lot of empty space so it looks like a beautiful open garden. I'm going to place a swing set, monkey bars and everything over there so it looks like a proper garden which can be used by a family. And you can of course always like add whatever you want to this. There's definitely a lot of space left, so I don't know, maybe I Sims want to build a rocket in their garden, which is totally possible in The Sims 4. There will be enough space probably, but like, to be honest, I'm not sure. I haven't done this in ages, and as far as I remember, the rocket item is gigantic, so I'm not sure, so I don't want to make like any promises here. But yeah, there's a lot of empty space definitely. And I've used the floor decoration item here again to make the path a bit bigger, and I've decided to use more of these cubes until it like reached the little gate. So I didn't want to place the cubes all around the lot, because I know that I'm using so many items in these builds, and I know that these builds are heavy like when you want to place them, so I try to avoid to like place even more cubes where I don't have to. And here I'm already furnishing. I'm so proud of this kitchen actually. I feel like its dimensions are far more realistic than my recent kitchens. It's still gigantic. It's a really, really luxurious, over the top mansion. But I feel like this kitchen size kind of makes sense. And I also love that it's kind of like in this nook. So the island counters are kind of separating the kitchen from the dining area, and the Sims can like sit on the island counters, and it's so nicely separated. I just feel like this makes sense. And I've used a combination of different cabinets. I've used a combination of black and this beige color, and I just wanted to have a beautiful kitchen. And I don't know, I just try to be a bit more creative here. Instead of just using the same counters and cabinets, I wanted to have a combination, and I had so much fun furnishing this. The interior is quite modern. I still try to make it as cozy as possible, but it looks quite modern and luxurious, and you can here already see that I've incorporated a lot of black into the interior, because the outside is quite dark, and when you look at the windows from the greenhouse haven kit and the other windows from Lovestruck, the vibe is like very dark. So I wanted to incorporate this into the interior as well, and I just placed some lamps from Spar Day behind the cabinets. And the wallpaper which I had used, I think it's from Dine Out, has like a pattern, and I've tried to like embrace the pattern, and I've placed the wall lamps in a way so I like left these tiny gaps, so it just makes sense with the wallpaper. Again, just trying to be a bit more creative here. And this curved room, which is like very eye-catching in the front of the house when you look at it from the outside, I thought that this would be the perfect dining area. It's very sun-flooded, and I just thought it makes sense, so the Sims can just sit down and have dinner, and they have a lovely view of their very intricate front yard. And I just tried to fill the space as best as possible, like as best as I could, because it is very spacious. I'm actually going to like build a wall to separate it a bit more, but this is a very open floor concept luxurious mansion. You are either into this type of style or not, I guess. This is not like a very cozy home, but I hope that you like this. Let me know what you think about this. I used the the sofa from Dream Home Decorator. I wish we would get more sofas like this, like modular sofas where you can like create a corner sofa like this. This was like game changing. I feel like Dream Home Decorator had so many amazing objects also for creating like walk-in closets and stuff, and the sofas were so amazing. Like I still love them so much. One of my favorite packs. I cannot say a lot about the gameplay. I briefly tested this, but I think like the items are just amazing. And here I've built the wall to separate the different areas a bit more. I've used lamps from Spa Day and from high school years. In high school years, we got this wall lamp, which looks like a LED stripe, and it's amazing. You can place it below a shelf. You can just place it anywhere, actually. And it's still one of my favorite items, and I've used it to create this like illuminated wall. And this is the office space. I've used these little tables, the ones which look like marble. They are from Dine Out, and I've just placed them around two dining tables to have a really over the top office area. This is like a custom table. I sometimes love to do this because I feel like when you are working on a gigantic mansion and you just have like a tiny desk, it doesn't make sense. Everything is like kind of over the top and gigantic and takes up a lot of space, and I feel like this just makes sense for a really luxurious office space, probably. And I can already tell you, as you will see, for some of the bedrooms, I was really whipping out color. Like one of the bedrooms is very blue, but in a very over the top, beautiful, hopefully beautiful way. But I just had so much fun playing with color here. The whole build is like very monochrome, but I always like to say that I like to incorporate a little bit of like identity and character into some of the bedrooms, because like a sim is living inside these rooms and a room can reflect their character. Of course, I don't know who's moving in, but I just like to do different things when it comes to furnishing bedrooms. I just randomly select a color and I'm just doing whatever. This is the main bathroom on the living area level, so this is like directly connected to the living room and everything. There's a small home gym, as you will see, so this build really has a lot of luxury. You also have the pool in the garden, a big barbecue area, you have the hot tub, so this is kind of again a combination of a family home and a luxurious mansion, and not just like, I don't know, maybe a bachelor pad or something. This is like really for family gameplay, but it's luxurious. It's for a rich sim family, probably. And yeah, this is the room which is directly above the dining room area. So this is like the same curved room, but a level above. And this is going to be a beautiful bedroom. I'm so proud of this one. I've changed the floor color to this warm wooden floor color, this beautiful wallpaper. I've used the lighting stripes from high school years behind some cabinets. So these are just some kitchen cabinets, but I wanted to like create this mirror area. I've placed like a small stool in front of it and everything. We have the mirror, so this is like again very dark and gloomy, but it's also so warm and inviting. I've used this bed and everything and some of the details to match the window color and the vibe again, but I incorporated a lot of warmth here, so it's like very inviting and beautiful. I love this. I think it turned out so lovely. And I also like changed the wallpaper for the adjacent bathroom. This is like an ensuite, and I just wanted to have a lovely color. And I stumbled upon this wallpaper from high school years, and it has this beautiful sage green color and so many details. And I love high school years. Like it was so much fun to build the high school that I just built a high school when it came out because it just made sense. Everyone built a high school, I guess. And I also built some other stuff. I've talked about this recently, actually, I think, but I just always remember how amazing the pack was in terms of like built by items. This is another bedroom, and this has some like this beautiful wallpaper which has like moons and stars, and I was trying to have this moon theme which actually has like a very gloomy and I don't know, like magical vibe, but I still tried to make it modern. So I was trying to like have a mix of these styles, and I tried to make it make sense. The wallpaper in the center has like a golden color, so I tried to use a lot of golden items, and Growing Together actually has a lot of golden items like nightstands and stuff. So if you're looking for golden items, Growing Together has it all. This is another room. This like has two beds, so you can change this. Like this house has, I think, 8 bedrooms or something. I'm not even sure right now, but so many. So you can just totally remove a bed, because I know some of you are like, okay, this is luxurious. Why should someone have to share a room? Which is true, but I sometimes like to fill in the space, and you can just get rid of the bed. There's enough space in here, I promise. And this is the blue room, which I've talked about. I love this. Like, this is so different. I never embrace color a lot when it comes to interiors. I try to do this more. I've said this so many times, but here I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's have a blue floor, a blue wallpaper. This is colorful, and the patterns are clashing a little bit, like when you look at the floor and the rug. But I thought, okay, let's just do this. And I think it turned out lovely. I don't know, it looks rustic. It also has some modern elements, and I just had the best time building this. And I also, as you will see, chose a really colorful, fun wallpaper for the bathroom. This is the same one from high school years, which I had used for the other bathroom that you just saw, but not in a sage green color, but in a beautiful blue color. And I think it looks so nice. And even though the pattern of the floor doesn't really match the wallpaper, it makes sense. It looks so lived in and cozy, and I really had so much fun using more color here, and I hope that this is fine because of the rest of the build. It's just very monochrome. This is another bedroom. There are like even more. I didn't even include all of them. You will see them like you can just grab this from the gallery and it's fully furnished, don't worry. But yeah, there is like so much going on, and this video is already quite long. And yeah, this video is actually slowly coming to an end. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you've enjoyed this build. I hope that you had fun watching this, and in case you should grab this from the gallery, I hope your Sims will love this. My ID is KateEmerald. This build is CC free and unmodded. You can simply grab this from the gallery and your Sims can move in. You can also grab the tray files from my Patreon. I hope that you are doing so well. I hope you have a perfect day and week. I wish you all the best, and I hope I see you in the next video. I love you all so much. Bye bye.